Okay, guys. So today, for those of you who haven't been to this weekly group called "You Are That Which You Seek," we talk about different ideas that can lead us back to the core of who we are, lead us back home. This, of course, is for the purpose of creating greater clarity, um, more experiences of love, more experiences of peace. When we realize we are that which we seek, we are the love, we are the peace. Even though it appears like our thoughts, our feelings, our body are very personal, that we are them, there, of course, as all of us would agree, there's something much deeper there that is who we are and is already whole, is already the love, is already the peace. So in this group, there's a variety of different ways that we explore how to get back to that point. And I often call it the direct path versus maybe you could call it a progressive path. Progressive meaning through time, we evolve those parts of ourselves that don't feel as much love as we would like, or don't feel as peaceful as we would like, or whatever it is that we're going for. Those changes progress over time. And of course, we all do the progressive path. We all attempt to implement changes in our life that create more loving experiences, that seem to create harmony within our relationships or even within our own mind, or more peace. And that's a very effective way to do it. However, sometimes there are certain scenarios in life where the change is very slow. There's a need for some of us sometimes, a great deal of the time, to be in a feeling, an emotion, a perception, a relationship that is painful or confusing or whatever it might be for a period of time. And that can, and for our welfare, our sense of love, of peace, to be dependent on that thing to change, in which will take a great deal of time in the progressive sense to progress to a more evolved state or part of our life or relationship or way of being. It's kind of holding ourselves hostage. Holding ourselves hostage, meaning that we won't access that love, we won't get that peace until the progressive change has happened, and now we are at that future point. So it's also nice to be able to understand how to directly go there. So that's what this group often speaks about, is the direct path. So we usually facilitate that through discussion and experiences in a meditation. And I think today we'll go ahead and jump right into the meditation in order to go back to that place where you already feel whole, where you already are love, where you are already at peace. So, if you guys are ready, we will begin. Make sure to mute or put on airplane mode or do not disturb, whatever makes sense for you. If you have any devices that may need that, to not disturb yourself. And then also make sure to keep yourself on mute on here so as not to disturb each other. Okay, guys. If you like, close your eyes or keep them open, whatever you prefer. Maybe this time, to emphasize the point of accessing this love or peace or wholeness isn't dependent on any conditions in any way whatsoever. We might start, if anyone is interested in playing along with me, with our eyes open this time. And then we'll move into our eyes closed in just a moment. So if you like, feel free to start with your eyes open with me. And so as we sit here, just as a cat might wait in front of a mouse hole for a mouse to come out, we too will wait for a thought to arise. We're simply being aware. And it's not possible to know awareness objectively, in the way we would know something else. It's not possible to know awareness itself in the way we would know of a thought. However, we all know we are aware. There's no confusion in this moment for any of us, whether we're aware or not. But when we ask ourselves that question, am I aware? We usually speak about it in terms of what we are aware of. We might say, I have a thought. I am hungry. In that example, there might be two things we would be aware of: the thought, I am hungry, and the sensation in the stomach of hunger. Both of these are examples of objectively being aware of something, being aware of an object. The thought and the sensation. Now, on the direct path, we want to utilize the direct path, we wouldn't be interested in what we are aware of, the thought or the sensation, but rather what is being aware. Now here's the tricky part, is you can't know that you're being aware objectively in the way that you know you are aware of a thought or aware of a sensation. Because you can't be aware of awareness. Because awareness can't separate itself from itself, turn around, and then know itself in subject-object relationship. But rather, you can know that you are aware. And in that moment, simultaneously, will be known what you are aware of, but rather than your focus going to the thought you may be aware of, the sensation you may be aware of, or anything else you may be aware of, even though that will be occurring at the same time, withdraw your interest from those things to the fact of being, to the fact of awareness. Now to truly go home on the direct path, I might say there are two primary things to apply what we just did to. One is thought. We, awareness, is aware of a thought. And the second primary thing to apply this to is perception. We, awareness, is aware of perception. Now, perception is a tricky one because it includes so much. It includes everything. So, how do we perceive everything? We perceive it through what we refer to as the senses. So here, we are aware of perception. And perception includes the sense of sight, the sense of sound, and a sense of feeling, touch, sensation. And to a lesser degree, smell and taste. For simplicity, when we talk about the senses, we'll just refer to sight, sound, and feeling. as these are the primary ways we experience our body and the world. Now, interestingly, we usually think of the body as, or rather these senses or perception being dependent on the body. But what if the body is actually dependent on the senses, dependent on perception? Do you ever get suspicious with the fact that the ways you experience the body directly correlates to the senses? The way we experience the body directly correlates to the senses we happen to have. Meaning, we see the body, sight, or you could say perception. We hear the body when it makes a noise. Perhaps we can hear our own heartbeat. And we certainly feel the body. This is sensation. All of these senses could be under the umbrella of perception. But has anyone ever experienced the body outside of these senses, outside of perception? And just like we did with a thought, we asked ourselves about what is aware of the thought. What is it that's aware of the perception of the body? Feel free to close your eyes with me if you like. When our eyes are closed, we are no longer complicating the matter with the sense of sight, which implies distance and separation, as if what's in perception are many separate people and objects, rather than the same one thing we could call the screen of perception. When our eyes are closed, this matter is less complicated. So what's left when our eyes are closed? What is left to perceive of the senses? Primarily, feeling. Or, as it might make more sense to begin referring to it as, sensation. With our eyes closed, let's ask ourselves this contemplative question. what is it that is being aware of sensation? It's important to not go to a thought to get a conceptual answer, but rather go to your direct experience of knowing sensation directly. This requires no thinking. We're simply being aware. And what so just happens to be there is sensation. And here, we can't even call it sensation of a body. That would be referring to conceptual knowledge. But rather, if we stay strict to the facts, without any conceptual elaboration on our direct experience, we might see, witness, know directly what we are aware of as sensation. And notice when our eyes are closed, there's nothing else there in our experience. The direct experience, when our eyes closed and without referring to the mind, thought, images, memory, is direct experience, is yourself knowing an object. Or to say that differently, awareness, aware of perception. From this vantage point, is it more clear to you that the body is not who you are, but rather a perception presented to you on the screen of awareness? recognize the futility of thought. To know anything about direct experience. Or rather, just simply notice the difference in what thought provides and the nature of direct experience. Just know the contrast. What happens when I refer to a thought versus when I abide in direct experience? When I know my experience. Not a conceptual knowing, but the kind of knowing that awareness does. Awareness knows of something. It knows. This is direct experience. In this case, we know of sensation. We know of what we call sensation. Truly, we can't even call it sensation. But we have to use words of some kind to point to the experience of directly knowing. This is going home. But it's more than about just going home. It's about realizing the implications of this in our daily waking life. What is the image that's presented before me when I have my eyes open throughout the day, other than a perception? What is included in that perception? The body. Although the body appears so personal, perhaps, in fact, it is more akin to an impersonal perception. Noticed on the screen of awareness. All we know is what's presented to us. That's all we know. We can't know anything beyond what's presented to us. This perception we call life. Then we draw conclusions with thought about the perception that we call life. We say, I am that body. That body is personal. When that body dies, I will die. That would be like someone watching a movie on a TV screen and believing if the character in the movie dies, they will die sitting on that couch whilst watching the movie. All we know are the perceptions that's presented to us. And we draw conclusions based on these perceptions. Such as, when the perception of this body dies, I will die. Or that awareness is located in the head of this body, rather than you could say at a distance from the body, separate from the body, or just not dependent on the body. We draw conclusions that the world out there, the perception of the world out there, is separate from the perception of the body right here. Thought draws that conclusion. Thought conceptualizes the perception that we call life within the context of subject and object, two or more things. But what if the perception of the body and world are actually of one thing that we could call perception? And we, awareness, are not dependent on any of that. Now you can ask yourself, from this vantage point, how do the problems in your life look different? Careful not to get sucked back into the problems of your life as you may see it, but rather retain this vantage point and ask yourself, just simply, how does this look differently in light of viewing it from this vantage point? And just allow the softness of whatever perspective to arise. Whilst remain rooted in who or what you truly are as the fact of being aware. Perhaps, most importantly, don't forget that the perception of this body is only a perception. An appearance on the screen that awareness observes. Remembering who you are as this deeper observation. Which has its origins in the divine. And only when you're ready. Slowly bring this recognition of the core of who you are back to perception, allowing this awareness to reanimate the perception that we call the body and the life, the world, other people, our meditation group, the conversation. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, feel free to take in a deep breath and open your eyes. All right, guys, feel free to share with each other. How was your meditation? How did that go? What was your experience? Is it hard for you to meditate that deep? Was it a deep meditation? Was there any recognitions that were made? Particular challenges you noticed along the way? What was your experience? Oh, Selena, hi.
I had this vision. Of course, it was another vision.
Mhm.
But this one, it was someone just going in circles really, really, really fast. But then they would slow down, and then they seemed better. And I just kept having it over and over again. And it was always a man, so I was like, that must be the masculine side of a personality, not the feminine that needs to, slow down and just learn to chill out a little bit.
Totally. That makes good
Yeah.
sense.
I thought it was symbolic, so I thought
Yeah.
I'd share.
Yeah, totally. That's super cool. That's what the subconscious mind does, as I know you know, Selena. It delivers to us symbolic messages that we need to know. And sometimes it comes to our mind as like direct knowings. We call that intuition, usually in the form of, you could call it a knowing or a thought. But the subconscious mind delivers images in the form of symbolic that are symbolic in the ways that you described. And so absolutely, that's what I would interpret that as well. It's like these aggressive aspects of you, which we all have, both aggressive and receptive aspects. When they start spinning, they tend to don't remember the exact word you use. Create whatever experience that may be less than desirable. Whereas when the spinning slows down, then perhaps it's suggesting, Selena, and I think this is kind of what you're suggesting, is that there's a greater balance that can be had.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, super cool. Well, for one, what comes to my mind is that the meditation itself was an example of slowing down the aggressive sides. And as such, you were literally experiencing the balance between both aggressive and receptive.
Wow, I didn't even think about it like that. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, the meditation itself was an example of that. Absolutely. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing.
I don't know. This is Jody. I don't know how deep this is, but as a principal, often dealing with kids or parents, I would tell them that their perception is reality. But what really came to my mind is that's not necessarily true. And I don't know why.
I think what you're referring to, and correct me if you see it differently, is that I think the phrase perception is reality not being true is referring to the fact that the perception perceived is not the deepest reality. It's just
Correct.
what's being presented to you. Just like in the analogy of watching a movie on a TV, the you could say that the movie, the content, isn't the deepest reality. The deepest reality is the screen in which makes the movie possible. That's kind of similar with perception. It's like perception or the content that we call reality or our life isn't the deepest reality, but it is what makes the experience of or it is what makes an experience possible.
Yes, or the perception of you by others is not your true, deep reality of yourself.
Are you saying the perception others have of you? Is that what you just said? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
The perception others have of you is the farthest from your reality.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But it is very important to their reality. Even though they may impose it upon yours and be incorrect for you, other people's perception of you wasn't created by accident. It was created as a result of all of their life experiences prior to you.
That makes sense. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's hard when others have negative perceptions of us. That's like one of the most painful things because there's only two real choices, I believe. One is to try to create understanding by each person getting a chance to share the way they saw the situation and or the way they saw you and the way you saw them, and then each person clarify intentions behind what was seen or what the way it was experienced. Now that can be challenging for those who aren't interested in creating understanding. Then it's like there's the second option, which is just allowing them the giving them, we'll word it like this, the opportunity for you to be a bad human in their story. Because if you're a bad human in their story, that gives them more fodder for them to be able to work out what is unresolved earlier in their life, earlier relationships, conditioning at childhood, and so on.
Yeah.
But then, of course, then of course, when we get to that point, I think for ourselves to be satisfied or less bothered about their negative perceptions about us, we have to take a really huge step. And I think the only thing that kind of gives me glimpses of being okay with someone whom you may not be able to work things out with is going directly home in the ways that we just did in this meditation session, remembering, none of this is quite as reality as we made it out to be. It's not quite as important. We can we can settle in the idea that it's not all perfect right now. It's all just perception.
And I think that's what this session did for me, was just bring me back to my home.
Yeah.
So that was
Right.
really good. Thank
Cool.
you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all that.